The Seattle Mariners are legit. They're a legit World Series contender, in my opinion, and they're in an absolute dogfight right now for the American League West Division with the Houston Astros. They started off the season great. Their offense has started to pick it up as of late, but man, is their pitching good, and is it a World Series caliber rotation? We'll break that down and much more in this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. What's up, everybody? Welcome into 3 Up, 3 Down. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis. Today we're going to be discussing the Seattle Mariners and their absolute dominant stretch that they just had against the New York Mets at home. This is a team that has been mired in some slumps offensively. They're one of the worst offensive teams in baseball, but their rotation is fantastic, their bullpen is fantastic, and they just find ways to win despite not having the greatest offensive output from guys like Julio Rodriguez and Jorge Polanco, who is one of their big acquisitions this offseason. But some guys that are performing, Raleigh and Randy Arozarena, who we'll talk about more as this video rolls along. But before we get into it, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well. It'll mean the world to me. And give me your thoughts on the Mariners. Are they a legit World Series contender in your opinion? Or is this fool's gold what we're seeing right now? I think they're legit. I think they can make some noise in the playoffs, and they're currently in a playoff spot. They're tied for the first spot in the AL West, and I believe they're legit. I really do. I don't know if they're going to edge out the Astros for the division, but I think they're right there. They're not too far off talent-wise from that roster. So let's just get into it, what we saw last night here. This was Raleigh. I mean, he hit 2 home runs yesterday. Spoiler alert. But the Mariners complete the sweep and outscore the Mets 22-1 in the series. What an amazing performance from them, by the way. And Raleigh is really someone that I want to focus on for this video because he's been one of the most consistent catchers in baseball. You know exactly what you're going to get out of Raleigh. He's going to hit for power. He's going to strike out. But he does one thing really well, and that's play defense behind the dish. And he also hits absolute missiles in the batter's box as well. So he's the best catcher in baseball. He's better than Adley Rutschman. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Now, they swept a 3-game series with the New York Mets. They won 12-1 yesterday. They won 4-0 the day before that. And then the day before that, they won again 6-0. So they only allowed 1 run in the 3-game set against the Mets. And Raleigh is a big reason for that. He's now the leader among catchers with 3.6 Fangraphs WAR, which in my opinion makes him the best catcher in baseball. He's a 3 true outcomes guy. You know, he's going to walk, he's going to strike out, and he's going to hit absolute bombs for you when he's in that batter's box. And it just shows you right there, Raleigh is the first MLB catcher with 3 consecutive 25 homer seasons since Mike Piazza had 8 consecutive from 1995 to 2002. Now he's still got a lot of catching up to do if he wants to catch Piazza. He still has a lot of consistency that he needs to prove over the next few years. But in terms of power and what he offers in the batter's box offensively, I think he's unmatched. He's a really good player, and there's just no other way around it. Raleigh is that guy, and he's been hitting in the middle of the order, playing fantastic defense. He's only batting .217 on the season, so the strikeouts, they're a big issue. He leads the American League right now in strikeouts, but he'll walk and he'll slug the ball out of the ballpark. The OPS is not fantastic. It's under 800, but what he does, you know exactly what you're getting out of Raleigh, and I think Seattle Mariner fans can count on that. Considering the way that Julio Rodriguez has played as well, an OPS under 700 for him. I believe he went 0 for 5 yesterday with 5 strikeouts, and the Mariners still managed to put up 12 runs. So they've been up and down offensively. They've been fluctuating, but one huge move that they made at the deadline was this guy, and that guy is, of course, Randy Arozarena, who, since being acquired by the Seattle Mariners, is batting .304 with an OPS of .917. And the bottom half of that tweet says, going to need to find the "you acquired a .213 hitter" crowd. Now, at the moment that this trade was announced, I was all in on this for the Seattle Mariners perspective. I thought this was a fantastic trade for them. They needed to get an offensive weapon, and who better than Randy Arozarena, who just elevates his game when the pressure is on the most. We saw him in the World Baseball Classic, star for Mexico, make amazing catches in left field, and we saw him just be unable to get out. The pitchers were not able to pitch to this guy because he was just so locked in, and the games mattered. He wanted to show up for his country, and he did that in the World Baseball Classic. And we all remember that magical run that he had with the Tampa Bay Rays in the COVID-shortened season in 2020. He set records for most home runs in a playoff run, most hits in a playoff run, and he was the guy that was just willing the Tampa Bay Rays to victory after victory, and ultimately they fell 2 games short of winning the World Series against the Dodgers. But if it wasn't for his heroics, they would have never even gotten there. And even in the World Series, he was still putting in work, and arguably could have been the World Series MVP over Corey Seager if they had went ahead and won. And I would have even argued that he could have won it despite Corey Seager even winning the World Series. That's how good Randy Arozarena is in those clutch moments. So he's been fantastic. He made an amazing catch yesterday in left field to save a run, and it obviously didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. They won 12-1, but his heroics offensively, I think, is going to propel this team to heights that they haven't experienced in a very long time. And dare I say, they can go out and win their first ever World Series for their franchise. I like the Mariners. I love what they're doing over there. Their rotation, headlined by Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, Bryce Miller, and George Kirby. I mean, those are 4 of the top names in baseball right there, and they're just so consistent every 5th day. You know exactly what you're getting out of those guys. And if Julio Rodriguez can start to turn the corner as the season winds down here, they're going to be very scary come playoff time. And you could see this right here. 22-1 in a 3-game series. I mean, that's unprecedented level of domination against a team that is pretty good in the New York Mets. They're not a bad baseball club. Now, Julio Rodriguez needs to figure this thing out. He's got an OPS under 700. His lowest of his career is 818. So he's a below average hitter right now. And if he can turn the corner, if he can find some sort of groove heading into the playoffs, that is going to be massive for the Seattle Mariners. I think that's their biggest wild card right there. He just came back from injury. He's had an up and down season. The power isn't really there. His slugging is under 400. It's at a 368 clip right now. So he's just got to iron a couple of things out. He's striking out quite a bit as well. J-Rod needs to figure this thing out. He needs to be the guy to lead this Seattle Mariners team to playoff success, and I think he can be that. He signed that huge deal. I think he's one of the premier players in baseball. He's just got to find a groove and figure out what's wrong, because he's a very important piece to their puzzle. But that'll wrap it up for this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. Thank you guys so much for making it this far. Really appreciate the support that we've gotten on recent videos, but make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on this one. Give me your thoughts on the Seattle Mariners. Are they a contender, or are they not a contender in your opinion? Let me know in the comments down below. But that'll wrap it up. Check out Baseball Town as well. 3 physical locations, 2 in Quebec, 1 in Ottawa. And if you're not close to there, check out the website baseballtown.ca. They're your one-stop shop for everything that you need baseball related, whether it's baseball or softball equipment. They got you covered, whether it's bats, gloves, batting gloves, cleats, the best equipment at the most competitive prices. Check them out today, and I'll see you tomorrow.